fact, this is more than a presumption, this is a truth to me. I believe you deserve more revenue. I believe you deserve more revenue because you're really, really good at what you do. So here's the key to growing business quickly. There it is on the screen. You need to know how good you are, be aware of your great value, and then you have to behave accordingly. Be aware of your great value, and then behave accordingly, which is to say, boldly, confidently, not meekly. Revenue growth is no place for the meek, or the meek thinking. Boldly is how we have to behave, but first we have to think that way. We have to believe it. First of all, the owner's probably a technician. The owner's probably a specialist in his or her product. And the customer calls. When do the customer call? When they're happy or when something's wrong? Hey, great job, that was awesome. Let me give you some more money. Really, that was great. Do you get a lot of those calls? No. When do they call? Something's wrong. It's not here. You screwed it up, fix it, make it right. Somebody's yelling at him, so he's screaming at your owner. December, which means last month, it was selected as the Sales Book of the Year by 800 CEO Read. There was one book for each of you here. You guys get to take home a book, thanks to MBBI and your sponsors.
The PE sponsors.
The PE sponsors, thank you very much. The PE sponsors? Yes, thank you, PE sponsors. If you want to sign, I'm happy to do it, but I don't like to presume. I don't like to presumptuously sign books, so just ask me and I'm happy to do it. Folks, we begin with this. Today is about growing revenue, and that's what the session is about. And I'm going to talk today about your revenue, the company in the room, the banks, the brokers, the attorneys, everybody sitting there. I'm also going to talk about growing your portfolio companies. I'm going to talk about the companies that you guys deal with and broker and bank to and help. So when I say your companies, I'm going to be referring to your company and also your companies in your portfolio. And we begin with this presumption. In fact, this is more than a presumption, this is a truth to me. I believe you deserve more revenue. I believe you deserve more revenue because you're really, really good at what you do. And you're not brokering companies, and you're not making deals. You are, in fact, improving lives. You're helping people. On the buy side, you're growing companies, and you're allowing them to compete at levels that they couldn't compete at without you. On the sell side, you're kind of making dreams come true, aren't you? You might be getting a struggling owner, who I work with every day, out from under this weight that he is under. You might be getting a third-generation family that's been added, looking for a way out. And you might be getting a very successful company that's been growing well, that's been making a lot of money. You might be helping them really attain a level of success that they could never get to without you. So that's what you do. So I believe you deserve more revenue. And let me ask you this question. Who else deserves for your companies to grow, but also your portfolio companies to grow? Who deserves for these companies to grow? And shout some things out, because there aren't any wrong answers.
Investors.
Family. Who else?
Investors.
Investors. Family, yes, because here you sit. You guys work a lot. Family deserves for you to grow. Investors deserve for you to grow, certainly, because they trust you, they believe in you, and they would like to deal with a successful business. And they would like to invest in a successful business. Nobody wants to deal with a struggling, shrinking, contracting company, right? Those aren't attractive. Who else deserves it? Who deserves more revenue? Employees do. Yeah, they come to work every day. Your colleagues come. The employees of the companies that you broker and deal with, they deserve it. Everybody wants to work with a thriving business. Who else? Customers do. Again, everybody wants to be involved with a growing, healthy organization. You guys are missing one kind of person. You. You all. It's a Chicago word. You guys do. You deserve more revenue. You work really hard. You help people a whole lot. You revolutionize people's lives. That's what you do. You deserve more revenue and all the good stuff that comes with it. Now, further to that, your market deserves to benefit from your value also. The companies you're working with, they deserve to benefit from more of your value. They deserve to buy more from you because you're so helpful and useful to them. The people you're not working with yet, they deserve to benefit from working with you because you're excellent. You're exceptional. I'm going to show you this, by the way. I'm going to demonstrate to you the difference between how you think about what you do and how your customers think about what you do. There's a big difference there. There's a big gap. So, we kind of owe it to them. We kind of owe it to everybody in our market to help them and then benefit from the revenue that comes from it. And if you think about it this way, as opposed to say, I gotta get the deal done, or I gotta make the sale, or I gotta bring this client on, or I know I have to call this guy, but I don't really want to. I don't really want to impose. You know, I don't want to bother him. I don't want to intrude. You see the difference in the thinking and the language? You owe it to them. You aren't lucky that they picked up the phone. They are lucky to be hearing from you. Because that's how much you help them. So here's the key to growing business quickly. There it is on the screen. You need to know how good you are, be aware of your great value, and then you have to behave accordingly. Be aware of your great value, and then behave accordingly, which is to say, boldly, confidently, not meekly. Revenue growth is no place for the meek, or the meek thinking. Boldly is how we have to behave, but first we have to think that way. We have to believe it. And I'll show you exactly how. You can't just sit down at your desk and become bold. It doesn't work that way. You can't just sit down at your desk and say, today I will behave confidently. Rather, the way to become bold is to ask your happy customers what they like best about working with you. I can tell you that you're great and you're going to sit there and say, yeah, but he's just a consultant, he's a speaker. Tom can come up here and tell you you're great. You're going to feel like he's just the president. Rocky can tell you, and you're like, I don't even know if he's a member, just works the camera here. I have to ask the question. But if your customer tells you you're wonderful and exactly why, how can you argue? It's the truth. It's the truth. They have no reason to not tell you the truth. They're paying you. It's where you make your money. Same with your client customers. Same with your portfolio companies. Same thing. So it's hard to see, but I was born in Ukraine. And my parents, who are actually here today, they're sitting here at the front table. My mom has seen me speak before, but my dad never has. It's the first time. So I said, Dad, it's a tough crowd. Are you sure you want this to be the first talk? And he said, yes. So here it is. So go easy on Mom and Dad. There's drinks afterwards. I was born in Ukraine. We came over here when I was 2 years old. It was 1978, and there was no internet. And my parents were 26 years old. Sorry, I realized what I just did. Just gave the age away. It was illegal to know English because it was communist Soviet Union. And we went back about 3 years ago. Is that about what it was? 3 years ago we went back to the Ukraine. And our apartment is on the second floor. That's the inner courtyard. And it went from the window to the left of the door to the window to the right of the door. And that apartment was about 400 square feet. And 400 square feet might be, what, 10 or 15% of this room? Maybe. It's maybe 4 to 6 tables, approximately. This block of tables. And in that 400 square feet lived my mom and my dad, my grandma, my grandpa, my great-grandma, and I, 6 of us in 400 feet. Grandparents would fold up the couch, the bed, into the couch, wake up, there they were. And so that's, you can't see my dad, but he's standing there in the hallway. What you can see is that it's falling apart. That's me standing in front of the front door to the apartment. And just, you can see the condition of things. There's the stairwell. Again, the point here is it's falling apart. And that's where I come from. And that is why I work. I work for my parents who brought me here. And I work for my family today. There we are. These are all brighter on a computer screen. I have 6-year-old twins. They're there this fall, jumping around in the backyard. And that is why I work, and I'm very clear on this. I work for my parents who brought me here to the most entrepreneurial country in the world. Despite what the senator said about Illinois' problems, the amount of money that we can make here in our state is determined only by how hard we work and by some perseverance. Those two things. That's what it's determined. No matter what the condition of the state is. And that's why I work. And my question to you is, why do you work? And who do you work for? It's important to get clear on that. It's important to know. Because then when you wake up and you've got this sell-side company that is on the fence, you guys don't ever deal with those kinds of companies, do you? They don't really know. Does that ever happen? They tell you they do, but then you say it's time, I've got to buy it for you. Like, I don't know. Maybe not. Know why you work and who you work for, and things get a lot easier. It's a lot easier to do anything and everything. Now, a lot of revenue growth has to do with beliefs, with what you think. So my typical client is a privately held business, typically multi-generational, so grandpa started it, and then his son probably runs it today, and then his kids are working in it now. These companies are usually $100 million and up. I have some clients that are $50 million, I have some clients that are $25 million. But most of my clients fit into this $1 to $200 million range. And almost all of it, almost 100%, not quite, but 90 to 95% of this, growing business quickly, comes down to beliefs. And Henry Ford, the quote on the screen, one of my favorite quotes, perhaps not the best man in the world, but I love the quote. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You're right. If you think you can grow the business, you can. If you think you can't, you won't. If you think that you do deals, that's what you'll believe and that's what you'll communicate. If you think you help people have better lives, help your buy-side customers grow like crazy and get into markets they can never get into without the acquisitions that you facilitate, if you believe that, you're going to market that. You're going to say that about yourself. And I would say that that's more compelling. Both things are true, but the latter is more compelling. 10,000 steps. By the way, just now. You gotta have fun. All right, folks, I know you're busy. Right? You guys don't have a ton of time? Fair? What kind of work are you busy with? And I know I'm going to ask you to do some new things today. But what kind of work are you busy with? Are you busy reacting to buyers and sellers, to customers, to portfolio people? You're busy they call, and they have a question. You have to respond. So are you spending your days mostly, it's a continuum, doing reactive work or proactive work? Where do we spend our time? Okay? About in the middle. How about your portfolio companies? Where do they spend their time? The owners, are they reacting? Or are they spending their days proactively? Reactively? Just think about what happened. You and I work with the same people, right? Owners. First of all, the owner's probably a technician. The owner's probably a specialist in his or her product. And the customer calls. When do the customer call? When they're happy or when something's wrong? Hey, great job. That was awesome. Let me give you some more money. Really, that was great. Do you get a lot of those calls? No. When do they call? Something's wrong. It's not here. You screwed it up. Fix it. Make it right. Somebody's yelling at him, so he's screaming at your owner. So they spend their days reacting. As soon as they put that fire out, what happens next? Next fire comes. Next fire comes. And then the next one. And you better put it out, or you'll burn your eyebrows out. So they spend their days reacting. The problem is, revenue growth is proactive work. We must make time for it. We must make time for revenue growth. You might grow accidentally with the economy, but you're kind of bouncing around like a pinball. You might shrink next year just as easily as you grow this year, if it's reactive. Yes, you can grow reactively, but no, you can't plan for that growth. planful growth, planable growth, has to be proactive. We must make time for it. This is especially true for the companies that you guys deal with and sell to. The companies you sell, the companies you help buy, they must be proactive. And the good news is I'm not asking for an hour or two of proactivity. I'm not asking for half an hour of productivity a day. All I'm asking for is one proactive action per day of the ones that I teach. And so when I work with a privately held business, what I do is I come in and I teach their customer-facing staff, which is salespeople, customer service people, executives, marketing people. I teach them how to take this one proactive communication action per day, which takes between 45 seconds and 90 seconds, and I'll tell you what they are before I'm done. It takes 45 seconds to 90 seconds, and they communicate proactively to people who can buy from them, which is the key to this, about how those people will be improved. That's it. And so in the book, there are 23 different techniques like this. 23 different things you can do. There's actions that are one-on-one. There's actions that are company to many, to a list. And you do them simultaneously. I'll show you this in a second. But revenue growth comes down to communication. Here's what it comes down to. The more that people hear from us, and this is true for you and your companies too, the more that people hear from us, the more they buy from us. The less that people hear from us, the less they buy. It never goes the other way. It never happens that you communicate less and they buy more. It doesn't happen. That's against the laws of physics. So the more we communicate, the more people buy. Yours and your customers, your companies. So, there is nothing that I'm going to talk about today that you don't already know. How's that? Glad Tom brought me in to speak. You already know all this. You guys know this stuff. For example, would you agree with me that testimonials and referrals, especially for you guys, are among the best ways we have to grow the business? Fair? Among the best ways we have to grow revenue. Yes? Not if you think yes. Good. Are you asking for them enough? No. But we know that we should. But we don't. So, if knowing is up here, and doing is down there, what's the distance between knowing and doing? What separates the two?
Busy.
Say it again?
Busy.
Busy. Busy separates knowing and doing. Some people say procrastination. What else? What's that? There's no wrong answer. What do you think separates what you know from actually doing it?
Lazy.
Lazy. You shouted that very proudly. Lazy. What else?
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. All negative. What makes you do what you know? Let's go to the actually, what gets you from knowing to doing? What makes you do what you know you should? What would make you ask for testimonials and referrals? If you know that's what you should do. What would make you get there? Plan, money. Why money? Oh, so you need to be paid to ask for testimonials and referrals. Is that what you're saying, Greg? Greg's like, money. I need to be motivated. Well, isn't the referral going to lead you to money? Tom, this is who you're working with. Ma'am? Lack of confidence. All of you guys are true. So yes, lack of confidence, uncomfortable, lazy, and what? No, the last thing, the bad one. The negative one. Busy. Yes. So I'm going to share with you the thing that I think separates knowing from doing, but mine's on the getting you to do the stuff that you know. And my word is, whoops, that's not going to work. Let's bring it over here. We're going to fix that, hopefully. This plan. My word is discipline. See, earlier Tom was saying he's in charge of everything, which also means he has to do everything. So Tom's in charge of that peg that just fell out. Thank you, Tom. How's that? Good? People think entrepreneurship is glamorous. For me. Discipline separates us from separates knowing from doing. Discipline. And what makes up discipline? Two very complicated things. What makes up discipline?
Consistency.
Consistency. What else?
Priority.
Priority. I think it's these two complicated words. starting, the most successful people start a lot. And?
Finishing.
And after you finish what? Repeat. Starting and repeat. You know testimonials and referrals are the best ways, among the best ways we have to grow business. So ask for one. Start. Tomorrow. Start. The next day, if you get one, if you like it, if you make some progress, if it's good to you, if you enjoyed it, repeat it. If you didn't like it, it didn't feel good to you, or it isn't working, stop repeating it and try something else. But keep starting things until you figure out which things work for you. Starting and repeating. So when you leave here today, tomorrow you go back to your desks, start something. I don't care if it's one of my things. I don't know if your other speakers had practical sort of how-to do stuff. If they didn't, start one of my things. If they did, start one of our things. I don't care which one. But start something. And the next day do it again. To grow successfully, you need one new action per day. You need to communicate with somebody who can buy once. This is true for you and your companies. Everything we talk about today is in the book. All of it. You want scripts for how to ask for referrals? It's in the book. You want scripts for how to get good testimonials? You said, I'm comfortable. I don't know how, right? I'm not comfortable with it. It's in the book. And I'll teach you a little bit today. Look at that, we're going backwards. How come you guys didn't say anything? All right, so people say, what's the definition of marketing? There it is. Mine. I think we overcomplicate things. I think we overcomplicate growing business. I think owners sure as heck overcomplicate things. I think you guys overcomplicate things because you're stuck in the muck, right? You're dealing with the day-to-day minutia, the fires. It is complicated from your desks and your owners' desks, your investors' desks. But the reality is, it boils down to that simple sentence. Systematically communicate your value to people who can buy it. If you do that, your business will grow. Doesn't have a choice. This is not my opinion. This is fact. This happens every single time with every single client. Nobody has ever worked with me and shrank, even in a bad economy. All right, let me show you how this works. Let's see. Tom, did you fix that?
Yeah.
All right.
Or is that all?
You don't sound confident about it. All right, I'm afraid to move it, so we'll do it like this. All right, so if your product and service, and owners too, your client companies too, is on the y-axis, and your marketing and your communication is on the x-axis. We'll move quickly here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good is what you do? How good are you at your work, and how good are your companies at what they do? Scale of 1 to 10, shout some numbers at me. As measured by the satisfaction of customers.
8.
8. 10. No room for improvement.
11.
There's the improvement. There it is. Welcome to the mindset of a business broker. I like that. I agree with you guys. I'm going to put an X here. Can you guys see this? Is that visible too? Okay. Same question now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good is your proactive, systematic, revenue-generating communication, you and your companies, as measured by the only interesting measure of these things? Meaning, I don't care about how many Facebook friends you have. Won't help you make a penny. I don't care, especially you guys. I don't care about how many Twitter followers you tweet and follow. Won't make you a dollar. It won't. Hopefully you didn't have it. Sometimes a social media expert speaks right before me. Can I say that? And I look to make sure they're out of the room. How good is your proactive revenue-generating communication as measured by the amount of new revenue that it generates? Scale of 1 to 10, please.
4.
4. Others? No wrong answers.
5.
5. Somebody from this row, please. 7. This row. Anyone? 7. One more. Table behind you. 6. Okay. So far, one person told the truth. Okay, it's a joke. This row. 4. Folks? 5. All right. Would the numbers change if we're talking about your companies? Think about your sell-side companies. How good is their proactive systematic communication to their customers and prospects. Would the numbers change? What would it be?
Might be lower.
Lower. It would be lower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, would it change? Would it be lower? Yeah. It's like a 2 or 3 in their world. It's a 2 or 3. I'm going to put it over here at about a 5, so we can do this, because you guys had some 4s and some 6s. And so the lines intersect right around here. So here's where they are. Here's where you are. Here's where they are. Let me tell you what the quadrants are. If you have good products and service and good marketing, you have evangelists. Apple has evangelists. Tesla has evangelists. Anybody drive a Tesla? Anyone? No. When gas was $3, a lot of hands would go up. And now they still drive the Tesla, but they're just not raising their hands. You ever get cornered by somebody who does drive a Tesla, though? Oh, it's the worst, isn't it? Yeah, they'll corner you, like a group of them will corner you, and you cannot escape the conversation until you also agree to buy a Tesla. And that's how much they love their Tesla. Tesla has evangelism. Great product, great marketing and communication. They have other problems called cash, but they have great product and great marketing and communication. So it's evangelists here. If you have good marketing but poor products, you have what I call angry runners. Angry runners are people who have been convinced to buy something with good marketing that isn't any good. The thing that they were convinced to buy. The BlackBerry tablet that came out a few years ago, do you remember this disaster? It was called the Playbook. The iPad was out, Android tablets were out, and BlackBerry didn't have a tablet. BlackBerry dropped what they were doing, started developing a tablet for 2 years, to the exclusion of everything else. And they needed 2 terrible CEOs to do this. Now, one wasn't enough, they needed 2. They had co-CEOs. Well, they made a tablet, and they put a great marketing campaign behind it, and when the tablet came out, guess what it did? Out of the box. Why do people suffer through a BlackBerry? They didn't do email out of the box. You had to download stuff and hope to configure it correctly so that your BlackBerry tablet would do email. So people got mad. And their consumer business will never recover from that. It's basically extinct right now. It's gone. They've become a B2B company on the strength of that disaster. Angry runners. If you have bad products and services and bad marketing, you have, this is the business graveyard. This is where companies go to die. The Silicon Valley technology startups that make products that nobody needs with money that isn't theirs. Graveyard. Bad products, bad marketing. Now, here is where most of your companies are. Not just your companies, but your companies, right? The buy-sell companies. The banking customers. They are, and remember, the banking customers are right about here is where you're told, right? So the banking customers are here. So here's the distance between your clients, your buy-sell clients, and you guys in the room. So this is where you are. Great products and services. Communications that can be improved. You all are a best kept what? Yeah. Secret. Even to their existing customers and your existing customers. Even to people who know you. Because they know you to do this one thing that they know about. But all the other things you can help them with, you don't know about those things. Guess what the average awareness of a customer is of all that they can buy from a typical manufacturer or distributor? Guess the average customer awareness of a typical manufacturer or distributor. What do you think that number is? 40%. 40%. Other guesses? Aim lower. 20% is the average. 20% awareness. Now think about the tragedy of this. Customers happy. Customers been with the company for 20 years, right? For generations. Customers happy. Customer wants to buy more from that company. Company wants to sell to the customer, right? Wouldn't they? They want more revenue. They want to grow. Customer buys what they can buy from this person that they want to buy it from somebody else because they need it. So everybody wants to do all this work together, but it's impossible because they only know about 20% of all that they can buy. Which means your average portfolio company, listen to the tragedy of this, your typical portfolio company has 80% of all that it does and makes and sells and distributes. That it's impossible for them to sell. It's impossible. Market doesn't know. They know The salespeople know, the salespeople assume the customer also knows. Because they're thinking about it already. Customer doesn't know. Customer's also busy. Customer has his own fires, right? Customer isn't thinking about your 100%. Customer's thinking about all he needs. Customers niche us into certain products or services. And we are also guilty of niching customers into their little product or service that they buy. Does that make sense? We niche each other. When what they want to do is buy more, and of course we want to sell more. So what does that boil down to? What does that boil down to? Communication. That's what it boils down to. That's all we have to do. Is tell people about that other 80%. That's it. And I tell companies how. I teach them. 2 other takeaways. That's the direction for improvement, right? That way. That's new revenue. Fair? Based on your ratings? Where is the opportunity for growth? Along product and services or along marketing and communications? Along marketing. Where do you and the companies that you deal with spend your time? You spend your time on products and services, which are already a 10 or an 11. That's where you spend your time. Why? Customer's happy. Customer doesn't know the difference between a 9 or a 10. You do. In fact, the distance between an 8 and a 10 is kind of dysfunctional. When it's 80% ready, get it out. A lot of revenue is lost to inactivity and perfection. So it's already a 9 or a 10 or an 11. I'm not saying stop doing that stuff. Stop developing your product and service. Your company shouldn't stop developing their product and service. They should continue developing their product and service, but they should also give me a few minutes a day to communicate to people who want to buy from them to help them do so. Only takes a couple minutes a day. Doesn't cost any money. Takes a couple minutes. It's easy to do. The most common feedback that I get is, this stuff is so easy. It's so simple. And it is, because I've whittled away anything that smells like complexity. As I said, there's nothing here you don't already know. But we don't do all that we know. All right, when my client starts with me, when we walk out of a launch session, or a launch workshop that lasts a day, that's a day of basically what we're doing right now for 45 minutes. When they walk out of the room, there's 2 parallel tracks of communication that goes on. There's one-on-one communication, and then there's company-to-many communication. Up above is the sales or customer service person. Down below is the marketer, or the company, speaking to the list. The customer or prospect on top is also on the bottom. 2 parallel tracks of communication. The diagonal arrow is the list which is being marketed to, raising their hand saying, I'm interested in that. On the day of the launch, which is about 90 days into a project with me, both of these things start happening on day 1. Here's a preview of the one-on-one track. You might communicate a testimonial, which is different than asking for a testimonial. You might deliver a case study. You might ask the did you know question, and you might ask for a referral. There's 4 of the techniques. And I'll dive into each of them briefly. On the company-to-many track, that's the second track, C/P is customer and prospect. You might send a newsletter. First you build your list, then you send a good newsletter. You might communicate case studies. You might hold events, you might use videos like this one Rocky's recording. You might have a webinar. You guys are in perfect position, all of you in this room right now, to do everything on that list, to really benefit from it. Especially the videos, the webinars, and the events. You guys can become the owner's trusted advisor on the exit. Not just the facilitator of the exit when the owner is ready, but their teacher, their educator. Get them to rely on you. And you do that by this. That's how this happens. There are 3 steps between where you are right now and new revenue. Mindset, which is what we started with, I said it's about 90%. Mindset we've been talking about the whole time. Marketing are the techniques that I'm about to get into. And action is actually doing the stuff. Is actually doing the work. So let's talk about mindset first. How you think is exactly how you market. And so what we must do is shift our thinking from what we do and sell to how we improve lives and companies. That's the critical shift. Let me show you this. Nice to meet you. Come on over here with me.
All right.
So stand there so I can talk to you. Joe, what do you do?
Commercial insurance.
Commercial insurance, and so what does that mean?
I'm a broker. So
A broker.
I connect, buyers to insurance companies.
Connect, and when somebody asks you what you do, that's what you say, right? Connect buyers to insurance companies. Great. Does it make you want to buy from Joe? That? All right, Joe. Let's go over there. Watch your step because that's at the edge. I'll move this down here so we can do this. Whoa. All right. Joe, think of a customer, a good customer who's happy, who's been with you for a while and keeps coming back. A human. Got one? All right. What's the name of this person? First name.
Same first name, Joe.
Oh, also Joe. What's the first initial of Joe?
First initial.
Yeah.
His
Of the
last
last
name,
name.
H.
H. Looks like this. First initial is J. All right, so get into Joe H's mindset. Get into what matters to him. Get into what's important or interesting. What's a win for him. What makes him mad. And as you guys think about this, think about having this kind of conversation with one of your customers. This is how you become bold, and also this is how you gather testimonials. This would be a 5 or 10 minute phone call, is what this would be. I'll call him on the phone. Joe, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Watch yourself. I love working with you. Really, you're one of our best clients. We're only asking our best clients about this. We're just trying to improve. We want to do better. And so to that end, I'll ask you a few questions, give you some feedback, and I'll get you off the phone in 5 or 10 minutes. Sound okay? Thanks. Okay with you if I record the call?
Sure.
Okay. I've done thousands of these. 98% say yes. No problem. Joe, how long have we been working together? Remind me.
And you're
I'm you,
me.
and you're Joe H.
Okay.
So I'll be you, and you be Joe H.
Okay.
How long have we been working together?
3 years.
3 years. And what are some of your favorite things about working with us? What do you like best?
I like the fact that you are attentive,
Attentive.
coming up with new ideas.
New idea.
You save us a lot of money,
Save your money. Interesting.
and you are helping improve our overall operations and our safety.
Really? Little old insurance broker me.
How about that?
Improve.
Pretty good.
Safe. I am very good.
Pretty good.
Safety. And I don't know what to do with that. Safety and operations. Thank you for the compliment. I'll take it. 4 threads. 4 threads to pull up. I can pick one. And I'm going to start unwinding it. I don't care which thing I pick. He said, I'm attentive. I give him new ideas. I saved him a lot of money. And I have improved safety and operations. These are 4 testimonials in the first 30 seconds. Let's talk about saved money. As soon as money comes up, my ears perk up like a dog. I want to know, how have we saved money?
We have interacted with multiple carriers and improved the underwriting information that they use and leverage our relationships to drive the pricing down.
Drive their pricing down.
Right.
Drive the providers.
Drive pricing down.
Your pricing down. How much money do you think we've saved you as compared to the last guy you were working with before me? Ballpark. Percentage or dollars, whatever is easy for you.
Percentage would be about
15%.
15%.
What's that equal in dollars?
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Very good. You've seen this before.
No, I'm just
For
asking.
his particular account, about $20,000.
20 grand. And we've been working together for 3 years, right? So that's 20 grand times 3, ballpark, right? Or maybe it's gone up over time, so let's call it 50 grand, right? Because the savings has increased. So is it fair to say we've saved you about $50,000 in 3 years? On insurance?
A little less than that.
A little less? What do you like, 40? I don't care what the numbers. You like 35? Okay, good. I don't care what the numbers. What am I going to argue with them? 35 or 50? Both are impressive. They're interesting. Also, I'm not going to audit you, so I don't really care whatever you think it is the truth, right? Now, well, how do you feel about that? That's interesting. I didn't know that before. Have you thought about that before?
Yeah, because I bought it.
And then you kept buying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about us being attentive. How does that help you?
When I'm looking for a response or when I'm looking for an answer, they're able to get it to me quickly where others are not as attentive or quick to act.
Quick answers, quick action. And he's taken the step now to compare me to others, which is interesting to me, because now I want to know how much faster am I than the others. Joe H, compared to the last guy you were working with, how much time has it saved you, would you guess, in a year or in a month or a week, to work with us? How much faster is it? When I call you back immediately, when I get you your answers when you need them.
You might have saved 10 hours a year.
A year, 10 hours a year. Okay. And over 3 years, so that's 30 hours, right? So the testimonial is working with Joe has saved me 30 hours of my time. Not a huge number, but it all depends on the language. And I put quotes around it and it's a customer. Listen, last question for you. How would you describe us to a peer of yours at another business? So this is Joe H thinking about Joe E. How would you describe us to a colleague or a peer somewhere else? What would you say about us? They don't know us, but they could benefit from working with us like you have. Save time, save money. What would you say about us?
If you are not inspired by the low bar that the insurance industry has set, Joe, seek detriment. How about that?
I don't know what the hell just happened.
Say it again so we can hear it. In the
Oh, you guys can't hear?
Yeah.
If you are uninspired,
Oh, go ahead. It just occurred to me. It clicked what you were saying. So finish your sentence, and then I'll repeat it back to you the way that I understand it.
if you are sick of weeding through the muck with ideas that are not fresh and wasting your time, you should meet with somebody who is exceeding the standard that the industry has set.
If you're sick of wasting your time, meet with Joe, who, can I say far exceeds? Would that be comfortable? Oh, who far exceeds the standards. And I know you guys can read this, I'll read it back to you, in the industry. Thank you very much, Joe H. I appreciate it. Very, very helpful to me. And I can use this to serve you even better now, along with the rest of our customers. So thanks for that. Is it okay with you if I use some of your comments in our materials? Yeah, thank you very much. Round of applause for Joe. Thank you. All right, so let's debrief what happened here, and then we'll move to the actions and activities. When Joe E. was thinking about his work from his own perspective, I said, what do you do, Joe? He said, I'm a commercial insurance broker, and I connect buyers to insurance companies. Right? Very moving and compelling. And then I said to Joe, think of your value as a customer. What do you do for customers? And he said to me, I'm attentive, I give them new ideas, I save them time, I save them money. How much money? 15%, and that's 20 or 30 grand. And I like saving me 15% of my insurance. That's a great testimonial. Improve safety and operations. You also save your customers 10 hours per year, which is 30 hours total, and I bet you, having done thousands of these interviews and having heard thousands of answers to that question, he would have said a bigger number. I bet you underestimated it, and his number would be bigger. If you're sick of wasting your time with the insurance industry, meet with Joe, who far exceeds the standards of his peers. And at the end of it, I said, is it okay with you if we use some of your comments in our materials? Right? Did you hesitate to give me permission? No, I will never ask you for permission again. I haven't. I'm not going to beat it to death, why would I? He's just been glowing about me for the last 10 minutes. He's given me permission. Don't ask until you get a no. Take the yes and be happy. Same person, same brain. That was the shift. That's the shift we need to make. And you have to be bold enough to plant your feet and ask the questions and pull the threads, because you're that good and your customers believe that more than you do, and if only we ask, they will tell us. Whose discomfort is it to ask for testimonials and referrals? Ours or the customers? Ours. We are far more uncomfortable with asking for the testimonial and referral than they are getting it, because of all of our junk. Right? All of the stuff in our brains, all of our previous experiences. They're happy to give us a testimonial if only we ask. They're also happy to give a referral if only we ask. So here's what it boils down to, folks. Your customers speak more positively about you than you speak about yourself. And we just showed that to you. So back to the slide. Be aware of your great value and behave accordingly. Let me move quickly now through these. And before I dive into them, I want to say that Tom and I came together through Tom's really sharp, forward-looking thinking here. And he said, listen, an hour's not enough, let's give them more. And not only let's give them more, let's give their owners more. So what we've put together are 4 individual sessions at your monthly meetings for you to bring your owners to, so that we can help to grow their business, so that you can do bigger and better deals with them. Did I explain that in the ballpark correctly?
I think you're good. I think, I couldn't have picked better example in Joe, right? Because Joe, I've known Joe for a couple of years. Joe and Linda, a couple, and Ray Horn, we're all in a networking group together, right? And Joe probably thinks, what can I get out of MBBI, right? So I want a M&A intermediary in the room to tell me what $30,000 in savings. Let's assume Joe saved that company $30,000 in 2015. What's that mean to you? Stu, why don't you answer that for me? Yeah, if you brought Joe to one of your sellers and he saved, and you were able to introduce Joe to one of your sellers, what's that do for your seller and what's that do for you?
Well, the seller's happy he's saving all that money and puts me in good stead with the seller.
Right, so, yeah, but what's that do for you personally, Stu?
How does that help you?
How does that help you?
Well, dollar-wise, nothing.
It doesn't help you at all?
But hopefully I'll get in good with the seller and be able to sell it.
Let me get a better answer. How about Carl?
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah, what did you say, Carl?
Take 10 grand, my client makes 30 grand more, makes 150 more on the sell, and increases his life.
There you go, right there. So let's repeat that. So on a multiple, right, we had Andy Greenberg talking earlier today, and on a multiple of a 30 grand savings, you know, if we're getting those in easy math, those sky-high multiples of 10 times, you're talking about an additional $300,000 on a sale price. Now, it may not necessarily be in $1 million sale company, but at some level, because you took the time to introduce Joe to your seller, and you're able to save your seller that much money, then that equates to a higher sale price, which means the seller gets more money, which means your commission, which is calculated on sale price, goes up, right? So let me take it to the next level. There's a company that I sold in this room that the broker wasn't doing a good job to serve his client. And over the last several years, they've been charging this client an exorbitant amount of money because of the industry that they're in. And in the last year, because I think the broker maybe realized that the seller was about to sell, they miraculously saved that person $50,000 in insurance expense, which equates to, at a 3 or a 4 multiple, an additional $200,000 in sale price. Now, would you be happy to know that I pushed Joe several times to talk to this client? I think Joe could potentially save this client another $50,000 a year now that they've bought the company, because Joe is actively pursuing and working, you know, to answer questions and shopping the deal around in the insurance industry.
So can I work through an
yes,
example?
go ahead.
Stay here,
Yeah.
because let's say you have a $10 million business. They work with me and it grows by 15%, which would be below the average of that revenue, and it would be an extra $1.5 million the next year, the first year of working with me, and then it's annualized. They keep growing because they get to keep doing this. They only pay for it once. What does that mean to somebody in the room? An extra $1.5 million in the next year.
Well, I think that's a good question. So if one of your companies, Greg, grows by $1.5 million in sales, what's that equate to the bottom line?
Depends on the industry, but let's just say they have a 10% bottom line.
So $150 a year.
$150,000 per year times 6. Look at $900,000 sale price.
So you effectively raise the sale price of the company by about $900 grand. What's that do for him? It raises the money in his pocket, you know, on closing, right?
So you have 4%, 3% commission. That's another
4
$30 grand.
to 3% commission, 3 to 4, 30.
And that's below average. They could grow by $3 million just as easily.
We like that because I said money, so they can be 60 to 80 now.
Now, what's the challenge with what you're saying, right? Most intermediaries are looking to sell a company now, right? So this requires a little bit of, where's your proactive table there, right? So that you might be a year or 2 or 3 or 4 years out, but you could quarterback this, right, along the way and potentially stay with that customer till the point that they want to sell.
That's right. So think about this in terms of leading on me to help grow the company that you're interacting with. You might not even be working with them yet, but they've expressed an interest, and they grow, and you can sell them for more. That's the physics. That's the flow. Okay? Good. Can I have 5 more minutes to go through some of the actions? Is that good?
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you want to stay up?
No.
You want? No. You want? Thank you for that, Tom. Round of applause for Tom, please. Shout out. I'm sorry. All right. Let me go go through the techniques very quickly, and then I'll wrap up, and you guys can do your awards, and you can go have drinks. 10, bless you, communications that I'm going to share with you. Here's what they have in common. They are all communications actions. They are all about quantity, not quality. The work has to be close to perfect, but the communications only has to be helpful. Doesn't have to be perfect. They all take 15 minutes or less. They're all helpful to recipients. They're all easy. None of them require any financial investment. I always say to audiences, you can do everything I talk about yourself. You don't need me. None of this costs any money. You can do it. The thing is, if they work with me, it actually happens. There's choreography, and there's accountability, and it happens. They do require confidence and boldness, like this example that I just did with Joe. And you can't screw it up. That's an important point. There's no wrong way to do this. You can't make a mistake. The only mistake is not doing it. That's the only way to screw this up. So, number 1, 5 to 10 minute customer conversations like I just had with Joe. And if you guys want to make a list of these right now, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. If you don't want to make a list of them, they're all in the book. But what you ought to do is write down one happy customer that you might go back to your office tomorrow and call. And say to that customer, or sell-side client, or buy-side client, listen, what do you like best about working with me? Go to a customer, go to a sell-side client that you've sold. And say to them, what do you like best about working with me? What happened there that was particularly valuable for you? So write down who that might be. And pick up the phone and say, look, we're trying to improve, we're trying to do better. Will you help me serve you better? Or your colleagues? Anybody in their right mind says yes to that. Nobody says no. Here are the questions that I used, and I really only asked one, and then I just followed up. The question is, what are some of your favorite things about working with us? Get good at that question. There are whole scripts of this in the book. There's a whole example conversation like the one I just did with Joe, in more detail. And then at one point I asked Joe, well, how does that help you? He said, you are attentive to me, and I say, when we are attentive, how are you improved by that? What gets better for you? And what came out was a great testimonial. You said, you give me quick answers, which saves me time. And then I said, how much time? We kept pulling the thread. We came up to 30 hours over 3 years. One question and follow-up. Number 2, obtain testimonials. You can ask for a testimonial outside of a 5 to 10 minute conversation. When you ask for a testimonial, do not use the word testimonial. People get stressed out. It's stressful. Can you give me a testimonial? Oh God, I don't know what that means. Say to them, what do you like best about working with us? What are some of your favorite things about working with us? You don't even have to pick up the phone. If you're talking to a customer on the phone and you resolve their issue, you've answered their question, say, listen, do you have another minute? I just want to ask you, what do you like best about working with us? Just like that. And they will tell you. Once you have testimonials, number 3, we must communicate them. We must communicate testimonials, internally and externally. We must share them with staff to make them bolder, and we must communicate them with the market, with customers and prospects. They must be distributed into the atmosphere. Number 4, the did you know question. This is the communication technique that impacts that 20% of awareness that companies have. Did you know we also do X or Y or Z? This can be done by email, this can be done on phone calls. Did you know we also do X or Y or Z? Every company has 20 customer-facing people. Every customer-facing person asks the did you know question. That's 20 a day, that's 100 a week, that's 400 a month, that's 4,800 a year. Think they'll sell them? They won't have a choice. They won't have a choice but to grow if there's 4,800 more line items being proposed to orders. Quote follow-up and proposals. Guess how many quotes in manufacturer distribution industries typically get accepted on average? About 10%, which leaves 90% unaccepted. Guess how many of those are silence answers? Not no's, but silence. About 90% of those. Guess how many of those are never followed up on? Almost all. Almost all. I teach a follow-up approach that closes 20% of all quotes that aren't closed. It's interesting. The numbers add up. It's millions. Even for the small business, it's millions of new revenue. It's just 3 quick emails. Just 3 emails to follow up. Obtain referrals. Listen, Joe H., we love working with you. Thank you for the compliments. It was awesome. I'm really grateful for this feedback. Who else do you know like yourself that would also benefit from working with us like you do? Did you go in? Good. Here's the keys to the technique. Who else do you know? Not do you know somebody, which is a yes-no question. Who else do you know that would benefit like you from working with us? And then I shut up and I looked at him until he said something. Yeah. Too many referrals are lost to nervous chatter. Yours. Your discomfort. So be quiet, ask the question, and then be bold enough to sit quietly and listen until the other person speaks. Let them speak first. If they say, I don't know, or I'll think about it, say to them, listen, we typically work with people like you, right? General managers, people handling insurance at companies that are about your size. Now, who else do you know like that? And again, you shut up and listen. The first question will yield a 1/3 rate of return on the referrals, which, by the way, gets baseball players into the Hall of Fame. Right? 1/3. So 2/3, screwing up, failing, gets you into the Hall of Fame. If they don't have an answer, and you follow up like that again, and you help them give you a referral, you frame who you're looking for, you get another 1/3. Now that's a 2/3 success rate on referrals. Is that interesting to your companies, do you think? That's how to grow business. The discomfort with doing that work is theirs, ours, not the customer's. It's our discomfort. Here's a very complicated, high-tech one. Send handwritten notes. When's the last time you got a handwritten note when it wasn't your birthday and it wasn't Christmas? We don't get them. You remember you used to walk up and down an airplane aisle and people would be writing handwritten notes? You wouldn't remember this joke. People used to write handwritten notes on the airplane. What do they do now? Right? With the thumbs. The handwritten note, every Friday I write 3 to 5 handwritten notes. I like fountain pens. I'm kind of a fountain pen nerd, and I get the pen, I get the ink, I get the papers, I write the notes, and I send them out. I hear back from almost everybody who gets it. Almost everybody brings it up to me again and says how nice it is. I actually teach this. Told you it was simple. I teach this, and clients are blown away by it. This grows business, because they're the only ones sending it out. Number 9, grow your list. Keep adding customers and prospects to your list. And here's the kinds of people that go there. And number 10, send a good newsletter every 2 weeks. The newsletter should be educational. Every 2 weeks is the rhythm. Once a month is not enough. Once a month is enough for them to forget you. Every 2 weeks is enough for them to remember you. Every 2 weeks. I send a weekly newsletter out to 30,000 people. I don't care if you read it or not. It doesn't matter to me. I only care that you see my name in your inbox. That's all I care about. That's the only thing that's interesting to me. Those were 10 techniques. All of them have a chapter in the book. Okay? I know we went quickly. We're going to do 4 sessions throughout the rest of the year. I'm going to dive into all of this in depth. These are 90-minute sessions, 4 of them, which is 6 hours of material. This was an overview. The last part of this is action. Folks, quantity trumps quality when it comes to revenue growth. The quantity of communication is more important than the quality of the communication, which is to say, the more that people hear from you, the more they buy from you. Let them hear from you. Do not, under any circumstances, let your work do the talking. Don't let your work do the talking, because then there will be silence. You've got to do the talking. If you don't blow your own horn, there is no music, as my business mentor used to tell me. You make the music. Quantity trumps quality. Under-plan and over-execute. Do not perfect this. And teach your customers the same way. 80% ready, go. The last 20% is dysfunctional. Not with the work, but with the communications. Think about your own company, your bank, your brokerage. How many communications have died in the conference room when too many people had too many ideas and thoughts on it? If any of you sit on boards, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's awful. It's awful to get a board to move on anything. Remember, folks, this is all we're doing. We're just helping people. That's it. And that's how long it takes. Okay, on your tables, there is a 15-minute planner that looks like this. Take it back, look at it, think about it, look at how your companies that you're working with might put it to use. to plan their day. It's not going to be in the book, it should be a handout on the table. It's a handout on the table. Essentially, there's a space Monday through Friday for them to write down their action. So today I'm going to ask for a testimonial, this day I'm going to ask for a referral, this day I'm going to write a handwritten note, this day I'm going to ask a did you know question. They plan to it. In the next column, there's a space to talk about how it went. How'd you do with it? That is the paper I use at my clients to grow their business. Everybody sends it to the manager, manager sends it to the owner and I. We give feedback on it. It's a back and forth flow. It's a layer of accountability. This will probably work at your company too. And you think about your communications this way. Ready? Fire, aim. But fire. Keep firing because the gunpowder goes dry. Do not sit on it. Fire the gun. Here's another sheet on your table. This is a feedback form that has 3 questions. This is a piece of feedback to me, and this is how I improve now. So the first question is, what did you think of the session? How did you like it? How did it go? So give me some feedback. Let me know what you thought. The second question says, would you like to discuss applying these concepts to your work? A speech, a session, teaching your staff and colleagues. The next question says, who do you work with that you think would be improved by this work? So it's a place for you to write down who you think might be impacted. Whose company do you think would grow well with these approaches? And finally, the last question, you can write your email down if you want to get my newsletter, which you can always unsubscribe from. It comes out every Monday. So I know you guys have something to do right after this. I'm going to wind it down. If you can fill this out and hand it to me or leave it on your table before you walk out of here, I would very much appreciate it. It's how I grow my business. Last quote, folks. Thomas Edison, who knows something about failure. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. And each of you can think of a moment when you were about to, and you made the extra effort, you made the extra step, and it worked. And I can think of about 24 moments like that in my life. So, no never means no. It only means not at this moment. So give people another moment to say yes. That's what this boils down to. Keep communicating and give people another moment to say yes.